Going through life with our creativity coupled with a good work ethic really influences and shapes who we are as people. I get really frustrated if I'm going through times when I don't have a camera in my hand very often, or I'm not in the garden enough, or not making enough videos, that when my creative juices are just not flowing enough, yeah, I get unsettled. I become a bit more anxious and a bit stressed. I know that being creative is such a vital part of my life. And recently I've been just exploring a little bit about what it is that has been part of this creative life that I've lived and how it's affected and influenced and shaped who I am as a person, how it's shaped my character. And I just want to share some thoughts with you in this video about how this has happened. I bought this camera with this lens on it when I was 19. At the time, the camera was 18 years old. It's a lovely old Nikkormat FTN, and I've been using it now for 42 years. The camera is now 60. I'm 61. It's been a while since I've actually used this camera, but I've frequently got a camera in my hands. This has been my career. I've been a photographer. And this really started out with a job at the Auckland Star newspaper where I was an assistant in the department, and I'd be given odd jobs, and yeah, I realised quite quickly that it was good to have a camera with me all the time. And as I progressed through this, I worked then at another couple of newspapers where I was the sole photographer. I was the only photographer, so I covered absolutely everything from 100-year-old birthday parties to rugby and cricket test matches in a stadium full of 50, 60,000 people, to breaking news and community stories, all kinds of things. So this type of work involved me being creative, but it also involved a really good work ethic, because I knew very quickly, and this is the biggest difference between an amateur and a professional photographer, is that a professional photographer, we had to come back to our boss, we had to come back to the editor or the client every time with usable images. Didn't matter what the light was like, didn't matter if I was feeling like it or not, the job had to be done. And if the job wasn't done, yeah, you don't keep your job for very long unless you're being productive and creative and you've got this good work ethic. So a lot of the time, there was no practical choice. I had to take photos. I had to keep coming back to my editors. And when I was working on my own, when I was freelancing, come back to my clients with images that suited their requirements. And I figured out during the time that I was at the newspaper, I was probably meeting and photographing over 1,000 people a year, people that I didn't know, people that were strangers. And it wasn't really the getting to know the camera, getting to know how photography works and what you need to do technically and creatively with it. It was connecting with those thousands of people that was the biggest difficult for me, because this is a vital part of photography. When you're photographing a person to make a portrait or to make an environmental portrait, to make like a documentary style portrait, there's a need to connect. This then really has a powerful influence on the way other people see the photograph. And this was the greatest challenge for me, because I'm an introvert. I'm quite shy, really. It might not seem like it when I'm sitting on this side of the camera, but this has also been a lot of work to be able to sit on the other side of the camera. But having this in my hands, my camera was my bridge. It was my reason. It was my excuse to have to connect with people. And if I didn't have this, it was really difficult. But it has shaped who I am. I'm no longer so shy. I'm still an introvert. I'm still quite happy with my own company. But being a photographer and being involved in this creative process has helped me to really lose a lot of that insecurity and that discomfort of being around other people and communicating, particularly communicating with people that I didn't know. So being a photographer has really shaped who I am. It has molded my character. And I think it's not only with photography, but I think any form of creative expression, if you're open to it and if you have a good work ethic. There's no good being creative if you're not doing anything with it. But if you've got a consistent work ethic to produce and produce and produce from your creative core, this will inevitably shape who you are as a person. And studies show that creative people who engage in their creative practice are less stressed, less depressed, and less anxious than people who just consume all the time, and people, if you like, these days, who are looking at their phones all the time, consuming rather than creating. So let me challenge you to have a think about what it is in your life that if you engaged a good work ethic to create something, be it photography, be it poetry, be it painting or sculpting or making music, whatever it is, the more you engage in it, the freer you'll become, the less anxious, the less depressed, the less stressed you'll become. This is a wonderful challenge. And I'm going to share more of my story in a longer form video about this topic. And if you're interested to see that, you can check it out here. Thanks for watching.